Hey, hey to everyone in the chat, all my homies. Hello to everyone listening later on or watching later on. I saw someone in the chat say it's their first time watching the show live, so welcome. That's very exciting. If you want to join all of my homies in the live chat, you got to do it on Rumble. Rumble is the only place you can watch Nightly Scroll. Rumble.com/Haley will bring you to the Bongino Report channel. Smash that subscribe button. That's where you can watch Nightly Scroll. If you want to listen, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Of course, you can follow me on social media at Haley Karania on most platforms. And with all that said, I'm very excited for today's show because not only I've got tinfoil hat time, I've got blind reactions. I mean, it's going to be a good show. So everybody is calling Trump daddy. And the internet is having a field day inside all of my favorite viral memes and moments. Then Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett questions First Lady Melania Trump's 2001 EB-1 visa. Plus, I've got tons of aerial phenomena caught on camera for you in tinfoil hat time. Plus, the left-wing version of QAnon that still believes there is a plan for Kamala, a path for Kamala Harris. We're going to get into it. I'm blind reacting to videos, like I said, answering your questions from my Instagram stories from last week and today, and so much more. All of that on Nightly Scroll. Okay, people have been calling Trump daddy for a while. This all stemmed from a TikTok trend back before the election started. But let's get into why maybe some more notable people are calling President Trump daddy. So NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte surprised reporters yesterday by calling President Donald Trump daddy. He didn't really call him daddy, but this is where it all went down. So reporters were asking him about, obviously, this ongoing conflict between Iran and Israel and the ceasefire efforts. And Rutte took the fighting kids analogy a bit further and said, quote, daddy has to sometimes use strong language. So more so talking about, him being this peacemaker, this mediator between kids that are fighting, not necessarily calling him daddy in a romantic or sexual manner, but daddy is more so just it's an endearment. It's a term of endearment. Let's just say that. So, and that is exactly how Donald J. Trump took it. I wanted to play this video on the show yesterday, didn't get to it, so let's play it now. This is from NATO.
Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No? He did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Okay, so he likes it. And I love when Donald Trump leans into this very personable, very funny persona, and that's who he is, really. I mean, he's the president of the United States, but he's a down-to-earth, funny guy. And, even liberals, and we'll get into it in just a moment, but even liberals are liking all this daddy stuff, which is a little shocking. I was shocked, but we'll get into it. So Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary General, he ended up kind of walking this back. So here's the headline saying that he didn't call him daddy. NATO chief clarifies, Trump comments, I didn't call him daddy. So here's what it said in the article. The daddy thing, I didn't call him daddy. This is what he told reporters earlier in the day. What I said is that sometimes in Europe, I hear sometimes countries saying, hey, Mark, will the U.S. stay with us? And I said, that sounds a little bit like a small child asking his daddy, hey, are you still staying with the family? So in that sense, I used daddy, not that I was calling President Trump daddy. I think he didn't want any gay allegations. I think that's really where this all stemmed from, because I understand what he was trying to say, but, the internet twists it, and we're going to get into
it was
all
like,
of that.
daddy with the kids playing in the backyard,
Yeah.
but it's funnier.
He's the adult in charge. We're going to get into that as well. But the White House official account leaned in to the daddy allegations, and they posted this video to the tune of Usher's This was a revival of a TikTok trend, like I said, that took off around the election. It prompted a ton of merch being sold on TikTok Shop of Donald Trump in front of the White House, and it said Daddy's home. Everyone was very excited ahead of the November 2024 election to bring Donald Trump back to the House and back as the leader of the free world. So, Daddy's home. It's Daddy is big, you-know-what energy. That is what this all means, essentially. So I wanted to go through the comments. If you could, are you guys ready to bring up my comments here on my iPad? I know this isn't necessarily scrolling time portion of the show yet, but I want to get into this because the Daily Mail reposted this video that the White House put out, the Daddy's home. And this is what everyone was saying. America is a social experiment at the moment. White House is becoming the biggest influencer entertainment company. Look, I hate this administration, but this is the funniest thing I've seen come out of the White House since ever. Hate him, but this is objectively hilarious. This is the weirdest time to be alive. Give the White House social media team a raise. I know a few people on the White House social media team, and I concur. I think they deserve a raise. They're doing a great job. And people say Earth is such a weird planet. Again, whoever's in charge of their social media needs a raise. They're so good at rage baiting the Dems. And that's exactly what this is. They are getting all the Democrats very upset. And the truth is, Daddy is home. Because Grandpa retired. Joe Biden is living out his retirement dreams. He gets to lay on the beach in Delaware. He gets to go to bed nice and early. Nothing on the schedule. He gets to fall off of his bike in peace. And now Daddy's home. We've got an adult back in the White House. And President Trump is telling Iran and Israel that, he'll turn this car right around if they don't act right. So all of these daddy analogies are very much true. This is the way that this is playing out. And in 2016, I will say, before President Trump, right? I voted for President Trump 3 times. Love the guy. If I could vote for him again, I would. But in 2016, he was an outsider. And again, this is why he was elected. He was elected because he was an outsider. But because of that, I was a little skeptical of how President Trump would handle foreign policy because I was all in on the border wall push. I was all in on, he's a businessman. He's going to turn the economy around. He was running on tax cuts. I was excited about all of that. But just I had no idea. What is President Trump going to do on the world stage? And I was so thrilled at President Trump and his success on the world stage because what he does is he keeps everybody on their toes. Nobody knows his next move. He plays his card right. He makes deals. He knows when to put the pressure on some of our most dangerous adversaries. Whereas I think other presidents and other cabinet members in the past, they're more reserved, don't take chances. They certainly don't threaten Taliban leaders with satellite pictures of their house saying, we know where you live, act up and you're going to see what's coming for you. That is very Trumpian. And I love that about him. I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised at how he handled himself on the world stage and how he represented us. He has the stones and the negotiating tactics that most politicians wouldn't even dare to try. I don't even want to think about a President Kamala Harris and what would be happening right now. That is why President Trump played the tariff game and all the world leaders rushed to the table to make a deal. He's playing chess, not checkers. He's one step ahead of everyone else. Master negotiator, he's decisive, he's the adult in the room. Most people feel more confident and safer with Trump at the helm rather than Biden or Harris. That is why he is Daddy Trump. And another viral edit of this F-bomb moment from the other day, he was very frustrated with both Iran and Israel for this, this unceasefire, essentially, where he called for a ceasefire and then they basically, Israel attacked Iran, bombed Iran, didn't look very good. He's upset. So this F-bomb moment, this has turned into now the viral track of the summer. Listen to this.
You know what? We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You understand that?
Andy and I are fist bumping.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. doing. You understand that? They violated it, but Israel violated it too. Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs like I've never seen before. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when they say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything.
As we know, Daddy Trump has not been too happy with Israel, Iran, and the fake news media, calling out New York Times, CNN, claiming they have falsely reported on the Iran strikes and how successful they were. So here's what the president posted on Truth Social earlier. Rumor is that the failing New York Times and fake news CNN will be firing the reporters who made up the fake news stories on the Iran nuclear sites because they got it so wrong. Let's see what happens. Then Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, he held a press conference earlier this morning to defend the Pentagon and their decisions and the strikes amid these media claims. And here is how he responded to a gender-obsessed reporter. Watch.
Why not acknowledge the female pilots that also participated in this mission? The early messages that you sent out only congratulated the boys.
So when I say something like our boys and bombers, see, this is the kind of thing the press does, right? Of course, the chairman mentioned a female bomber pilot. That's fantastic. She's fantastic. She's a hero. I want more female bomber pilots. I hope the men and women of our country sign up to do such brave and audacious things. But when you spin it as, because I say our boys and bombers as a common phrase, I'll keep saying things like that, whether they're men or women. Very proud of that female pilot, just like I'm very proud of those male pilots. And I don't care if it's a male or a female in that cockpit, and the American people don't care. But it's the obsession with race and gender in this department that's changed priorities. We don't do that anymore. We don't play your little games. Yes, right there.
For certain that the uranium was removed from the facility before.
This reporter should ask the female flying the B-2 bomber if she gives a rip about Pete Hegseth's comments. I can guarantee you she doesn't care about this boy's comment. She's a badass who has more important things to worry about than gender equality and DEI BS. She's probably grateful that she gets to do her job because she's the best at it, and she's surrounded by other men and women who are also the best at what they do. I would imagine when you're dropping bombs on Iran, you don't care about the gender or the sex or the sexual preferences of the person sitting next to you. You care about the success of the mission. You want the people next to you to be people you can trust with your life. That is what matters. So yes, she is a woman. Yes, it is super cool that an American woman got to drop a bomb on a country that oppresses women in disgusting ways. It is a testament to how free our country is, despite what radical feminists and dumb reporters think. And after Hegseth's presser was over, President Trump doubled down on his previous comments. He posted this on Truth Social. One of the greatest, most professional, and most confirming news conferences I have ever seen. The fake news should fire everyone involved in this witch hunt and apologize to our great warriors and everyone else. Just a blanket apology for everything to everyone. That's what President Trump requires. But I want to move into now the issue that is the mainstream media and how they are covering deportations, because it's not just the media likes to claim that this is, President Trump, he wants a white supremacist nation. He just wants to get rid of people based on their skin color and things like that. And it's not true. What DHS and what ICE is doing is protecting the homeland. That's legitimately their purpose. And we can't let people, like Biden did, come across the country completely unvetted. So I want to first go to this headline about an Iranian man who has been detained by ICE in Alabama. His pregnant wife claims that he was a Trump supporter. So this guy was eligible to be deported because he did not complete the process to become a citizen. Pretty simple. This is why I don't understand, these people, they don't go about this the right way, or they attempt to go about it the right way. They don't finish the job, or they miss a hearing, or whatever it is, right? And the mainstream media, they like to spin this and make these people sympathetic characters. They want to demonize the Trump administration like they're doing something wrong, when really they're just enforcing the laws on the books. So this guy was eligible to be deported. But here's the mainstream media trying to spin him as a Trump supporter and turn him into the sympathetic character when, quite frankly, if you didn't do it the right way, Sorry. That's what happens, right? So this guy, he's an Iranian national. He served as a sniper in the Iranian army from 2018 to 2021. His wife says that his military service is now being exaggerated, and her husband is not a terrorist and has never harmed an American. No one said that he was a terrorist, but he did serve in the military in Iran. So no one said that he was a terrorist, but that is a truth. That is a truth that has come to light. And now his wife is saying that he was required to do the military service in order to obtain a passport to leave Iran. He came here on a K-1 visa because he was engaged to be married to this woman in Alabama named Morgan. So apparently she's claiming that the military history, not a big deal, didn't matter. He's more of a Trump supporter than he is an Iranian sniper. Okay. So do we believe her? I don't know. You can let me know in the chat where your allegiances lie. Now, she says that her husband, even being from Iran, was a Trump supporter. He supported his immigration policies and understood that these immigration policies are to protect the American people. And according to this woman, she was actually saying that her Iranian husband was praying that President Trump would help free the Iranian people. That's what she told Newsweek. So this guy wears the American flag proudly, she says. He is someone who is so proud to be an American, or trying to be an American, that when they got married in Alabama, his groom's cake at the wedding was an American flag cake. This all might be true. This is what his wife is saying. Who knows? But if he's a Trump supporter who supports President Trump's immigration policy, then he should have no issues with being detained and potentially deported. So this story does not add up for me. This is very fishy. Because if you claim that he's a Trump supporter and he's well aware of President Trump's immigration policy and he supports that policy, why wouldn't he go about this the right way? Why wouldn't he finish the path to citizenship? Why wouldn't you just follow the laws if you respect the president and the country and its strong borders? So people are wondering if maybe he's a sleeper cell, and I have I want to be very clear, I have no proof of that, don't know, but the question of sleeper cells has come up with the escalation between Iran and Israel, and of course, Biden's open borders. We don't know all of the people who came over the border. Tom Homan has been worrying about this. I told a story about my uncle who works in emergency management, and he's been warning for years that there are terrorists coming across the southern border. They are coming across the border with materials to make a dirty bomb, and with tensions and escalating in the Middle East, it's no surprise that I think most people would think this is an option, right? People who have bad intentions and don't like America would use Biden's open borders to come right in. So again, I don't know if this specific Iranian guy is a sleeper cell, but it wouldn't shock me if sleeper cells are posing as Trump supporters to fly under the radar. Maybe they think that DHS wouldn't, I don't know, maybe they would look them over.
Well, these people are worth looking at. That's the thing. I mean, of course they're going to look at this guy.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you wear a MAGA hat. If you're breaking immigration law, you're not going to get a get out of jail free card just because you're a Trump supporter. The law is the law. And this is what DHS said. The facts remain that Ribvar Karimi is in the country illegally. He failed to change his status, a legal requirement, and is removable from the United States. President Trump and Secretary Noem are not going to ignore the rule of law. Karimi reportedly served as an Iranian army sniper from 2018 to 2021, and at the time of his arrest, in his possession, he had an Islamic Republic of Iran army identification card. He is currently in ICE custody, where he will remain pending removal proceedings. Makes sense to me. Doesn't matter if you're wearing a MAGA hat. Doesn't matter if you're wearing a Trump shirt, a Daddy's Home sweatshirt. Doesn't matter. You can say Daddy's Home all you want, but if you don't follow the rules, you're going home. Sorry. So here's another mainstream media headline that honestly reads like Iranian propaganda. This is from NBC. Iranian woman suffers severe panic attack as ICE agents arrest her husband. Okay. NBC News, everyone. So this is what it says in the article, that he was among several, this man who was arrested and detained by ICE, was among several Iranian Christian asylum seekers. They were all found in Los Angeles. Now, apparently there are Iranians in the United States who are going on hunger strikes due to this deportation and all of this effort for ICE to detain these guys. They're going into these hunger strikes. They're going through these medical emergencies because of the hunger strikes. This is all happening in these detention centers. So on Tuesday of this week, this Iranian woman experienced a panic attack after her husband's arrest. And the woman called her pastor, Christian pastor, to help, but he couldn't help. He essentially just said, I watched her panic attack escalate into convulsions. She had this panic attack. She's convulsing on the ground. And this Christian pastor, Iranian Christian pastor, said, there's nothing that we can do. And the Christian pastor arrived in the United States in 2010 as a refugee. He is now a United States citizen. But he is saying now that watching all of these arrests, the detainments, all of these things, he says that the United States is reminding him of the Iranian regime. He said the recent immigration raids and arrests, coupled with the anti-immigrant rhetoric from the Trump administration, remind him more of Iran than he ever imagined possible. He said this, quote, I was seeing a woman on the ground and masked people who wouldn't show their warrants. I was just shocked. Am I in Iran or am I in LA? Andy we just threw our hands up like this at the same time.
This kills me, and I love the mask narrative too, not to digress. Why do you think they're wearing them? Because you sell them out.
Yeah. And attacks on them are up more than 400%.
They're formidable and they happen. So like, it's just so annoying. This is so annoying. They're not here illegally. Look at them.
I thought leftists loved masks. I'm old enough to remember when they loved masks. Now they don't like them. But this, like I said earlier, it reminds me of Iranian propaganda. And unfortunately, it is NBC. Because according to this guy, the woman who was convulsing on the ground because of her panic attack, they're members of this church. They entered into the United States under the Biden administration. They used that CBP One app that was essentially created by the Biden administration to streamline this asylum seeking process. And let me just say, these people might be asylum seekers. There are Christians in Iran who are living under this horrific regime. Maybe they are, but Biden let everybody in. So how do we know? How can we trust the Biden administration to vet these people when it was just, here, let's streamline this and take everybody in. Everyone's an asylum seeker. How can we trust that? So obviously, President Trump ended the CBP One program. He turned that CBP One app into the CBP Home app and gave everyone the option to self-deport using that app. The Trump administration has been very clear about what to do if you've entered the country using Biden's app. Entering the country because Biden said it was okay doesn't fly anymore. You have to go through the proper channels to apply for asylum and become a citizen. I understand it takes time. Again, I feel for these people. Maybe they are Christians fleeing Iran. And the Iranian people are not all evil. The regime is evil. But how can we let unvetted Iranians, or anyone for that matter, come into our country without going through the proper channels? This is a country that hates us. And honestly, I blame the Biden administration. They set up this app so that all of these people, and again, maybe they are asylum seekers. So the Biden administration said, here, use this app and we'll streamline this process and make it very fast. But people were abusing that system. And now people who are actually asylum seekers are hurting. It's like the boy who cried wolf. This is why there is heightened anxiety about sleeper cells on American soil. We have to protect our own country first. America first, everyone else comes second. It has to be like that, or else we don't have a country. But Democrats, Jasmine Crockett, to be exact, she's all upset about visas, and she's very particularly upset about Melania Trump and how she got into the country. Watch this.
In this country. And since we're talking about integrity, I'm confused as to why my Republican colleagues aren't talking about the lack of integrity when it comes to the president's family's visas. Let me remind y'all that Melania, the first lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. And what that stands for is an Einstein visa. Now, y'all that don't know, let me tell you how you receive an Einstein visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here.
So disrespectful to the First Lady of the United States, who went about this the right way, by the way. But then, of course, she has to dig and make comments about, she's really not that great of a model. Meanwhile, she's the most stunning First Lady we've ever had, ever, in the history of the United States. She's so fashionable, so classy, so stunning. She's a fashion icon, regardless of the fashion magazines not wanting to touch her with a 10-foot pole. It doesn't mean that it's not true. But Melania Trump did this the right way. She arrived in the United States in 1996. She was on a tourist visa. Then she transitioned to a series of work visas while she was pursuing her modeling career in New York City. Met Donald Trump. Obviously, that elevated her profile. She got a permanent green card in 2001, just years later. So Jasmine Crockett is trying to make a point that Republicans should be against Melania Trump doing things the right way because Jasmine Crockett feels like she's not entitled to the visa that she got. Meanwhile, Republicans are more concerned with the criminals who never even attempted to go through the proper channels to become citizens. You can't compare the two. You can't compare the people who come here for the freebies. They jump the border. They get the free phone from President Biden. They get a free flight to wherever the hell they want. The sanctuary city of their choosing, and they get to live in a hotel, a fancy hotel. Melania Trump did not do these things. Melania Trump got the visas, the tourist visa, the work visas, and then the permanent green card. And Jasmine Crockett's here saying, well, she's really not that great of a model. But she got the visa. So now you're criticizing Melania Trump? And you're not criticizing the system? Bizarre. It's really bizarre. And speaking of the gorgeous Trump women, I saw this on X earlier today. Ivanka Trump is attending Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding in Venice, Italy. So speaking of models and gorgeous women, Jasmine Crockett, take a look at this. Ivanka Trump, she says, ready to celebrate their good friends, Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos, on their wedding, again in Venice, Italy. This is the most gorgeous dress I've ever seen in my life. Maybe this is for like the welcome party or something. I know a lot of people have dress codes these days. Sometimes people ask their guests to wear white. I would say I wouldn't go as far as to wear that dress that Ivanka's wearing to a wedding. I'd be a little scared that I would upstage the bride looking that gorgeous in a very light white and pink dress.
But what you would expect from
it.
her. Upstage the bride.
She's just so gorgeous. That's what a real woman looks like, okay? The wedding is on a private island in Italy. The guests will be shuttled back and forth with tons of security, of course. Nobody who isn't invited is getting on those boats or onto the island, but this has been going viral on X and on the internet as well. This is allegedly part of the invitation for Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding, We are excited for you to join us. We have one early request. Please, no gifts. Instead, we are making contributions in your honor and with gratitude to you for making the journey to celebrate with us in Venice. They're giving donations. So people are slamming them on the internet because this is a very cheesy looking invitation for the richest person in the world. One of them.
I didn't get invited.
I didn't either, but I've been invited to many a wedding, and my friends are not as wealthy as Jeff Bezos, and their invitations were much nicer, I will say. If this is actually that's not the invitation. This is just a note that goes out, please don't bring gifts. But it's very ugly, and, money can't buy class. So, again, this is the woman who wore her bra hanging out to the inauguration. So are we surprised? I'm not. On that note, taking a quick note to tell you about Patriot Mobile, tonight's sponsor for the show. Together we have fought for the same thing, faith, freedom, and the country we love. And one of our biggest supporters over the years is Patriot Mobile. If you scroll with the homies, you should be on Patriot Mobile. Trump may have won, but this is no time to rest. We have to keep supporting companies that share our values and stand for what we believe in. Switch to Patriot Mobile with confidence, knowing you will get outstanding nationwide coverage because they operate on all 3 major networks. You can even have 2 numbers on 2 different networks on a single smartphone. Not only do you have the Silver Lock guarantee, you will get the Patriot Mobile coverage guarantee. Every dollar you spend supports a company that believes in our First and Second Amendment rights, the sanctity of life, our veterans, and first responders. Switching is easy. It only takes minutes from wherever you are. You can keep your number, you can keep your phone, or you can get some new ones. Their 100% US-based team will take great care of you. Imagine that. You call your phone service provider and you can understand the person on the other end of the line. Amazing. So go to patriotmobile.com/scroll or call 972-PATRIOT. Get a free month of service on sign up with code SCROLL. That is patriotmobile.com/scroll or call 972-PATRIOT. And on that note, I'm very excited for tinfoil hat time. Here, I'm wearing the tinfoil hat.
So close to getting the hat right. We're so close.
Oh, he's just throwing me the hat now. We did the tinfoil hat segment last week, and everyone was saying in the comments, you forgot to wear your tinfoil hat. I'm so sorry. I forgot. It was sitting right on my seat, too. And anyway, tinfoil hat time. Here we go. This first one, this happened today. Between 12:15 and 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time today, there were more than 100 reports of a fireball that were submitted to the American Meteor Society. And this fireball was seen all over the Southeast. There were reports from Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida. Lots of people saw this thing. If you're in the chat and you saw this fireball in the sky today, sound off in the chat because let's play the video so you all can see what I'm talking about. You see that? It's almost like a shooting star, but it's dropping out of the sky. Like it's a meteor dropping out of the sky.
Yeah, it'd be like a meteor, it looks like, but it's way bigger than a shooting star,
Sorry for that horrible noise. The person filming had music on in their car, and then we slowed down the video so that you could see the meteor, and that's why it sounds like that. But if you're wondering what a fireball is, it's a very bright meteor. This is according to Fox Weather. I'm not a scientist, I don't know, but this is what they say. It is brighter than magnitude -4, roughly equivalent to the brilliance of Venus in the morning or evening sky. It's a specific type of fireball that culminates in spectacular explosion of light, often accompanied by visible fragments. So that is what we're looking at right now, dropping out of the sky. And with everything going on, I would have thought Iran's here. I would not have thought that this was a normal aerial phenomena, a scientific wonder. Someone in the chat said Halley's Comet. It could be.
It sort of looks like it's in the mountains, and my hometown doesn't really have an iron dome. So that would be scary.
Yeah. I don't know what I would have thought. Did anyone in the chat see it? Maybe not. But if you're in the South, southeast. You might have seen it. But a lot of the videos that I have, these are mostly aerial phenomena. A lot of them can be debunked by science. So first, I want to show you this video. This is a girl who took to TikTok. She was saying that she saw a UFO of sorts on the coast of Santa Barbara. Watch.
That is when it happens. And what I'm about to describe to you next, this whole thing happened in like 10 to 15 seconds, okay? It happened so quickly. I see something moving on the horizon off to my left. Claire is telling me a story, so she's talking as this is happening, and I see it move out of the corner of my eye at first, and my brain registers it as a boat because it's moving on top of the water like a boat does. But then I'm like, that's too big to be a boat. That thing is huge and it's moving hundreds of miles an hour. It is half in the fog and half out of the fog, moving at incredible speed. In a couple of seconds, it moves all the way from the left side of the horizon to almost the middle of my field of vision. And I go, Claire, do you see that? Am I crazy? What the hell is that? And I point it out, and I point it out as it's moving across the ocean. It was going like this fast, like relative to the picture that I have here, it was moving like this quickly, which is crazy fast. It gets to like right around here near the oil rig, and that's when I can see the size comparison of how big this thing is. It is, again, behind the oil rig in the fog, and it is at least 2 to 3 times the width of the size of the oil rig, which
huge.
Again looks like this. So the thing I saw was like that big and probably that tall, and it has a weird like hump in the middle. I have like my arm out in front of me pointing at it, like tracking it across the ocean because I need her to see it, because I can't, like, it's all happening so fast I can't understand what I'm looking at. In my brain, I thought it was a giant squid. My thought process literally went from, oh, it's a boat, no, it's too fast and big to be a boat, it's a giant squid. And then I was like, giant squids go in the water, not on top of it. I drew a picture of it and I'll show you that in a second, but it had like a weird, in my brain I was like, it's a head and arms. But it was skating across the water so fast. It wasn't bobbing up and down like a boat kind of does. It didn't look like, I mean, you couldn't see the wake, obviously, from where we were sitting because it was way too far away, but it didn't look like a boat. It was like bigger than a cruise ship.
Okay, so bigger than a cruise ship, twice the size of the oil rig.
Skimming on the water.
Right. So a lot of people in the comments were trying to figure out what this could have been. And someone in the comments suggested it was a Regent aircraft. So I want to show you what that looks like.
4, 3, 2,
and that does kind of fit her description of floating on the water. It's not bobbing up and down like a boat. It's got the hump in the middle and arms. She was saying that, but something doesn't make sense because in her story, she said that it was, what she saw was larger than a cruise ship, and it was double, almost triple the size of the oil rig. And it went behind the oil rig, so it wasn't even like it was a depth perception thing. She said it went behind the oil rig, so it should have been smaller than the oil rig.
Yeah, I mean, and it is a captivating story, well told. I'm initially concerned about her scale and perspective, but if it went behind the oil rig, that does say something. That maybe that could be something cool.
Someone in the chat said U.S. Marine Corps assault craft. Do you want to pull that up and we can see what that looks like? I have it on my computer, but I want you all to see it. I don't know. She said it doesn't bob up and down like a boat, but that could go very fast to the point where it would maybe look like it was skating or floating on the water. Again, maybe not big enough. What do we think? Do we think she actually saw something like an extraterrestrial or a UFO of some sort? And, you know, when all of these UFO sightings were happening, people were saying they were in coastal cities, not always, but a lot of them in New Jersey, in Florida. People were saying they were seeing them coming in and out of the water. But think about it. In San Diego, there's a naval base. Right? So we have to think about where maybe people could be seeing military craft and thinking that it's something else.
Well, here's your Marine Corps craft here. So maybe, you know, I don't know. But you're not going to mistake that for something weird behind an oil rig.
Based on her description, though, with it being like a hump in the middle but having arms, I feel like that Regent aircraft was more similar because it skated on top, but it just wouldn't have been big enough. I don't know. guys, I believe in UFOs. I believe in aliens. We all know this. So I'm going to choose to believe her that it was something nefarious and it wasn't the military.
Another thing I think that contributes to her story is it wasn't on tape. Like, nobody ever gets it on tape.
Well, she was saying...
Which to me makes it credible.
She actually joked about it in the video because she took a picture like right after, but she said, I was so shocked by it that I couldn't get my phone out fast enough. So she did mention that in the video.
Somebody in the chat said Godzilla.
She was saying, you know, it's the Loch Ness Monster. It's a giant squid. I mean, her hat went, or her, yeah, just... Anyway, here's another potential UFO sighting that potentially debunked. Watch this. This was back in April.
That's something on the interstate. Smoke coming out of it. What the hell is that? There's a freaking smoke ring around it. What is that? I don't know. What is that? Freaking UFO. Look at that thing. What is that? I'm videoing it. It just shot out of smoke ring. Well, I saw it over here, and I was like, man, those clouds are moving weird, and then it kept coming. But SpaceX.
So people in the comments of this video were saying that this could be easily debunked. This isn't a UFO with a smoke ring. Someone in the comments said it's a Falcon 9 breaking the sound beats barrier. Wow, can I speak? Sound speed barrier.
It's the coffee.
I've had enough coffee today. I don't know. And then someone else said it is in fact a shuttle taking off. They all look like this. So let's show the SpaceX Falcon 9 taking off. That certainly could have been what she saw, especially from far away.
Oh, for sure.
And with those little rings.
Well, we can, where we live, we can see the rockets take off at Cape Canaveral, and that's
really?
exactly what it looks like. I mean, it looks like they go, from where our perspective, it looks like they go sideways across the sky, and it's sort of freaky. It looks like just a piece of CGI floating across the sky. I mean, you can see it plain as day in the middle of the day. So at night,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this one I think can be debunked. Maybe she saw the SpaceX Falcon 9 because I checked because you know I'm a top tier journalist here. I checked the Falcon 9 launch schedule, and there was a successful launch on April 12th, which is the same day that this video was posted. So maybe she did see the SpaceX launch, and it wasn't a UFO after all.
And according to my Neighborhood Ring app, she wouldn't be the first to mistake a Falcon launch as a UFO invasion.
I would love to see your neighborhood group, Facebook group.
It's insane.
I would love all of the, like, look, I found this UFO, I saw this, and it's just rockets taking off all the time from the same place. That's funny. All right, this last one is basically the left-wing QAnon. There's a group started by a woman on TikTok. She is, what is her name? Gina something or other. She's a witch and not a witch. She's a psychic. And she said that she woke up at 4 a.m. on election night with this overwhelming feeling that Kamala Harris had won the election. And that they are living in a different reality than all of us, which I can certainly believe. I think these people are delusional and they are living in another reality. But this is another woman. Apparently there are thousands of these women in this, what they're calling the 4 a.m. club, because they all have these psychic powers. They're all living on a different plane of reality. They all woke up at 4 a.m. on election night, and they all think that Kamala Harris still has a path to victory. Watch this.
Okay, so the 4 a.m. Club is a term coined in a club founded by Gia Prism. I've tagged her and linked one of her pinned videos that explains. But basically on November 6th, thousands of people were woken up around 4 a.m. And those people were called to anchor in the higher timeline where Kamala was the winner. This is not a small club. This is thousands of people, and I was one of them. My specific experience was that I woke up at 4 a.m. on November 6th, and I had a knowing without looking at my phone that he had won. But everything in my body, in my mind, in my soul, in my energy felt like that was not true. It felt like she had won, and I was somehow being made to watch a parallel timeline where he won. And I have existed in that alternate timeline since 4 a.m. on November 6th, just as thousands of other 4 a.m.ers have. I have been so steadfast, so rock solid in my belief that she won, and it was only a matter of time until we all got onto that timeline that my friends have looked at me like I'm crazy and told me I'm delusional.
Bingo.
But those
They're
of
good
us
friends.
in the 4 a.m. club viscerally experienced that timeline split on November 6th. We have been existing this whole time on a completely different timeline, and we have been holding the light. We have been holding the vision. We have been anchoring that timeline while the rest of this country has been going through the necessary steps to merge with that timeline. And I believe, if I am interpreting my meditation downloads correctly, that we will begin collapsing those timelines tomorrow, June 14th.
Okay, well, June 15th came and went, and the timelines have not collapsed. Donald J. Trump is still your president. He's still your daddy. They're waiting for us to join their delusional alternate reality in which Kamala Harris is president. And I just want to say, we're never getting there. Sorry, sweetheart. We're never getting there.
Two things hit me. Number one, if she was really psychic, I don't think she would have believed Kamala was ever up in the polls. And then, and number two, I don't care what my friends say. I'm taking her everywhere. Like around a bar and out back, listen to that would be the best form of entertainment. I mean, that is hilarious.
It's actually a little sad. I feel kind of sad for these people. It's a little funny, but how can these people, and there's thousands of them in this 4 a.m. club that believe that Kamala Harris is a path to victory. I wonder if they call themselves the 4 a.m. club, not because they all woke up at 4 in the morning on election night, but that's when all the ballots start appearing out of thin air. Maybe that's
Pallets of ballots.
Maybe that's where the 4 a.m. club name comes from. That's when they start pulling them out of their behinds. That's probably where that all stems from. But on that note, let's get into scrolling time. Guy, I really appreciate your dance moves.
He's all in.
I really do. It makes me feel not so alone because I'm dancing here. I don't know if people are dancing with me, watching in the chat, but you make me feel not so alone. All right, this video was taken by Savannah Craven and her camera crew. She is a Catholic activist. She is a conservative. She is on our side. And she interviewed radical crazies at a protest. Watch this.
What about straight white men? What do you think about when you hear the word straight white man?
Well, you know, generally I think, oh no, watch out, help.
What do you think when you hear straight black man?
I think more power to you, baby. I'm sorry you've had to suffer the way that straight white America has kept you down for so long. And what we, white people, are starting to feel now with our trauma is probably nothing compared to what black men and black women have had to suffer in this country for centuries.
Yeah, every day black people are just like really struggling, I feel like.
They've been feeling the fear that we've been, that we're all starting to fear right now. Going out in the streets, you could get shot. I mean, for some people, this is not new.
Yeah, definitely. It's really scary. You think we're on the verge of Germany?
Well, I do.
Mm-hmm. She thinks we're on the verge of Nazi Germany. She thinks that black people have been afraid of getting shot in the streets, and now everyone's afraid of getting shot in the streets. I'm not. But I also don't live in New York City anymore, so...
She looks like Al Pacino.
Honestly, insulting to Al Pacino. Here's some of the comments. Someone said, is that Val Pacino in the comments?
Ding, 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 ding.
That's the first comment. Is that Val Pacino? Yeah, but there's no mental health crisis in America. Liberalism is a cult. America has a mental health crisis. Amen. Good Lord, we are in trouble. Amen again. What a weirdo. Someone said Gal Pacino. There's another one. Whew. In the past, she would have made a huge amount of money at carnivals. Wrap it up, Lord. We're ready. I think we are ready. Take us home. I'm ready to go home. I have no fear. I'm ready to go home. I've seen enough.
Do you think that's sort of just like a wig, or like, you know what I mean?
No,
like glued on?
I think she's got to, I don't know. I have no explanation. She's got to have a hormonal disorder or some kind of a imbalance that would make her grow a beard. She grows a better beard than some guys I've seen.
For sure.
Oof. All right. Well, it's been over 5 years since the COVID-19 pandemic shut the whole world down. But I found someone on TikTok who is still masking up, and they're crazier than ever. Watch this.
Yeah, so I mask because I believe that everyone should be able to breathe and breathe again, you know, to respire, and that we should all be able to consent to feel together, right? I am disabled and immunocompromised.
Yep.
And I've been masking for 5 years. And I love to find ways to make it pleasurable, to make it sustainable, right? And so as a play artist, my work really centers around respirators, whether that's through clowning, and viewing the respirator as a neutral mask of relationality.
She's just saying words. That's just words.
Just words.
It means nothing. Neutral mask of relationality?
Can you imagine getting her at a speed date? Like the speed dating thing, you know? I mean, like, what are you... Next.
What? Oh, someone in the chat said, I can still hear your vocal fry through your 5-year-old mask. I was going to say, the vocal fry is so bad. Oh, man. Someone said, is she related to Kamala? Could be. Could be. But what she was talking about, I just want everyone to be able to breathe. Everyone alive today, for the most part, is doing that. We are doing that. We can breathe, and we've been doing it without masks on for 5 years. Half a decade. I mean, seriously.
You think it's the same mask?
No, I think she changes them out. I don't think it's the same mask. That's gross.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really gross. In the beginning of the pandemic, when I was living in New York City, I tried to not wear masks, obviously. But when I was taking the subway, I had a police officer come up to me and tell me to put a mask on. So police officers, NYPD officers were telling people to mask up. If you were walking outside, I would be on the subway car by myself because no one else was working. Everyone else was working from home or not working at all. I was the only person, for the most part, commuting into the city and commuting to my office in Midtown. So I would be sitting on a subway car by myself. Cop would come up to me, put your mask on. And I'm like, man, I back the blue. I respect you, but what the helly?
On the other side of weird, I remember passing a guy during the pandemic, you know, here in Florida.
I know they're just doing their
over
job,
the bridge.
but oh my gosh.
I remember passing a guy in the pandemic. He was going over the bridge. He was in a Mercedes convertible, and he had a mask on.
I'm sure. COVID gets you when you're alone in your car. That's where the risk is heightened. All right, this one is kind of stupid. The next two videos that I have for you, they're not political, they're just fun. So this person posted and people do this a lot. They'll post, you know, a nook in their house or an awkward corner in their house, and they say, you know, what do I do with this space? They ask the internet for kind of free interior design advice. And in true internet fashion, people come up with the most ridiculous options. And this woman posted this, an idea for this space in her staircase. She said, I love this space for when it's a Christmas tree, but it feels so empty when it comes down. We've thought about a few vases to fill the area, but anyway, she's thinking of ways to fill this space. And I just figured I would go through some of the comments. People were giving her ideas on what to do. Have a full-time stand-up comedian to perform. I do love that idea. I think that would become very expensive very quickly. but that would be the most entertaining option, I think, to have a full-time comedian in that little nook. And I repeat, the Statue of David. Again, very expensive options coming from the TikTok comment section. Put a stripper pole. A third staircase in the middle. I mean, a third staircase would really seal the deal, I think. But honestly, think about it. If you made the staircase just one staircase, not a third staircase, but just connected it made it one, that would probably be better.
I see that.
That probably honestly makes the most sense. I know they were trying to be stupid by saying a third staircase, but connecting all the staircases would be probably the best. This is obviously where the butler stands with a silver plate and drinks for you as you come in. Again, very expensive options. A life-size cutout of a mariachi band. Not a real mariachi band, just a life-size cutout. A microphone stand for open mic night. Maybe some slam poetry if you have an angsty teenager at home. They could just rip you to shreds in the foyer. Walmart with a parking lot is the only logical choice. Some people in here are giving real options. Round table, antique tablecloth or a runner, large vase of flowers. Someone said a 12-foot skeleton. You can accessorize it accordingly for different events, and then if robbers come, they'll get really scared. A throne, and I won't accept anything else, LOL. Nobody has said a fountain. A fountain would be interesting. Someone said, place a toilet bowl there just to freak people out. Hey, it's an option. What do you guys think in the chat? Someone said, put an electric train set there, security guard spot, bar cart, Trump daddy statue. Amen to that. I think that seals the deal. A statue or a life-size cutout, maybe of the fight. Just iconic photo, statue. I like it. Someone said fireman's pole, water slide. Pear tree, Trump statue. I don't know. Duct tape a banana. Again, art. A true artiste would duct tape a banana and then sell it for millions of dollars. So there we go. All right, let's play this cute cat and deer video. So here's a cat in the backyard. Found an unsuspecting friend. A deer who's giving the cat quite the bath. And the cat is just loving it. Loving every second. The cat is honestly sopping wet. Like the cat, the hair around its neck and its entire head just covered in deer saliva, but very cute. An unsuspecting pair, but love is love. So I'm into it. Very much into it. All right, do you want to get into some blind reactions?
Yeah, we got two blind reactions.
Cool, let's do it.
All right, here's number one.
Shaking right now, shaking. I just got done going to the grocery store. Sorry. And this worker was like, can I help you bring your bags to the car? Ma'am, I'm too young to be called a ma'am. I identify as 24 years old. It's just so hard to get respect for my trans age.
That's if straight women acted like trans women.
Yeah, that's parody, but like.
I like it.
I could identify as 20 and still on my dad's insurance. If the government would respect that, that would be great.
I definitely feel like I was talking about this with my friends. I feel like I'm 27 years old, like 26, 27. And a lot of people are reporting a COVID age gap where you feel like you didn't really live your life for a few years. And a lot of people are feeling like 5 years younger than they actually are. And I kind of get that. Do you feel that way?
No, I didn't experience down here in Florida. The experience of COVID was totally different. But
that's true.
You know, I can't imagine being in New York. That would be. I would have gone anywhere else in the country.
Yeah, I was very lucky. Well, I couldn't really go anywhere else because of my job, but I did come down to Miami when I wanted to enjoy other human beings. And I would do that a few times. I came down, did some trips to Miami just to feel something again. And then I would go back to all of Cuomo's draconian lockdown measures and, you know, my fake vaccine card so that I could go get a drink. Ugh.
None of that down here. So we got one more.
Bad vibes. All right, give me the next one.
And this is just a feel-good one. Here you go.
It's interesting. The question is, I've gotten some criticism for hosting a Christian prayer service at the Pentagon yesterday. We said it very publicly. We said it very proudly. Appealing to heaven, to God, is a long-standing tradition in our military. I'm very proud that we're starting a monthly voluntary service at the Pentagon. George Washington was on bended knee with the troops, praying for God's providence and protection in that moment. Chaplains and ministers and Christians and people of faith across generations have prayed because of the business that we're in. I mean, the business of the 82nd Airborne, and you watch that 911 button for the country, is a dangerous one on behalf of all of us. And we appeal to God. I appeal to Jesus Christ for that protection. We're going to speak that word and be open and willing to talk about that at the Pentagon. If they want to criticize that, they're on the wrong side of a very important issue. So thanks for coming with us today. We'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
Well, you're right about that. Very feel-good video. I feel like there's no better way to end the show on that note. Trust in God. God is back in control. It's the golden age.
With the Top Gun anthem in the background.
Yes. Just gets you pumped. It just gets you pumped. On that note, thank you for watching the show. I hope that you tune in tomorrow because I have a very special guest. Erica Donalds is going to join me. She is the founder of Optima Ed. She is also potentially the future First Lady of Florida. Her husband is Florida Congressman Byron Donalds. They are super passionate about making education great again, and I hope you enjoy it. See you then.